Jam, jam, jam. I've grown accustomed to her face. Wait, are we live? Jam, jam, jam. Yeah, we're live. Okay. I've grown accustomed to her face. Wait, are we Sorry, live? Guys, hold on. Jam, jam, jam. Yeah, we're live. Okay. I've grown accustomed to her face. And it's immediately one of my streams. Hi. Echo is fixed. Would you expect anything different? Today, we're talking about Real Me. It's Saturday. We're officially only doing one episode at a time with these Patreon discussions as we go. Now, I think we did the openers for... Oh, sorry, hold on one second.
I'll take away your bucket.
I think we went 3 hours last time for Buffy versus Dracula and Judgment. So I just figured it was time for us to only do one at a time. We're still going to stick with the 10-person limit. And yeah, so hi. How are you? Hello, Elvella. Welcome, welcome. Quinn, Boris, Lonnie. We are, let's just get into it. So I started the stream a little bit late today because, what is wrong with my brain parts today? I don't understand. I started the stream a little bit late today because there's only an 11-minute video and we're only doing one of these at a time now. So I think for the stream we do in 2 weeks, for whatever the next Angel episode is, Boris will type it in the chat in just a second. I'll just post, like, it'll be like 4:45. How about I stop talking? Let's go ahead and watch the episode. 3, 2, 1, go. Being on the back burner, we can hope that Dawn will... At the very least, after seasons of being on the back burner, we can hope that Dawn will finally get some development. Well, I thought it was a good bit, and I was going to carry it forward into this episode and be all like, Dawn has very Joyce-like presence so far in the series, mostly acting as a tool of the plot, rather than having any character herself. Remember the time Buffy was trying to stop the werewolf, but Dawn was all like, you're a girl. But then I looked at how many episodes I would have to be sticking with the bit, and I got really sleepy. Plus here one of the crazy patrol says explicitly in this episode, you don't belong here. So yeah, okay, fine. Let's just talk about Dawn and this severely underrated episode. As much as I love this one, I'm still not going to spoil the rest of the season, so get ready for a lot of me saying we'll get to that later on. Real Me opens with a nice continuation from Buffy vs. Dracula. Giles and Buffy are spending time focusing on looking inwards to understand the source of her power. The music and edits are terrific, and every time I watch this scene, I curse the life that doesn't include Anthony Stewart Head coming over and speaking softly to me at bedtime. Fall away. It's all very Empire Strikes Back, including the use of actual rocks. And just like a vision of doom interrupted Luke's moment of inner tranquility.
Can we go now?
Dawn sets up the premise of the episode, but it's important to remember that with rare exceptions, most of the episodes relate to Buffy directly. Every moment counts more than you think.
Nobody knows who I am. Not the real me.
Also, she said the title of the episode, so mark your bingo cards. Dawn lays out the trials and tribulations of being the younger sister of the Slayer. Holy Hecate, do I love this single shot of the morning breakfast square dance at the Summers residence. What a cute and grounded little moment. Buffy spaced plans with Riley.
We're not hanging today, are we?
Giles is on his way to pick me up. Are you mad at me?
Oh, not at all.
My feelings about Riley's character so often bump up against how sweet and charming Marcus Blucas's performance of him is, but we'll get into that a little bit later. Giles has apparently not fully put his midlife crisis to rest. Remember, Spike crashed the Giles Hoopty-mobile in A New Man, and Giles has chosen to replace it with a cute little red number.
Giles, are you breaking up with your car?
Well, it did seduce me. All red and sporty.
It did I am so happy that we're in Season 5. Speaking of, the gang minus Xander plus Dawn find their way to the local magic shop, whose latest in a long line of owners has named the Magic Box, and was just murdered. Buffy pushes Dawn out to the street, and while the team investigates what happened,
I know you.
Dawn keeps the exchange to herself, or she forgot it, or something. It's a bit odd, but Tara comes out and offers some comfort over the dead man.
Do you want to thumb wrestle? Okay.
Boy, do I love their relationship. Tara is probably the older sister Dawn always wanted, and this moment emphasizes that they both feel like outsiders to the Scooby Gang. Willow discovers that an item of great value is missing from one of the cases, a ceramic unicorn?
And what kind of an unholy creature fancies cheap, tasteless statuary?
Okay,
I love this episode. Buffy and Joyce argue over whether Buffy can go patrol with Riley, and Buffy throws out a possible babysitter for Dawn.
Xander. Okay.
Dawn is nursing a hardcore crush on the Zandman. Tara expresses the solidarity she feels with Dawn to Willow.
It's just hard. That outsider feeling?
Out on patrol, Buffy is venting to Riley about Dawn, and Riley very admirably comes to her defense.
You're on Dawn's case a lot.
Is it weird that Riley's defense of Dawn actually makes me like him more? Harmony goes to call out Buffy for, battle and stuff, and Dawn accidentally invites her in. When Xander tries to relate the story to Buffy the next day, she gets distracted by the wrong detail.
The Harmony has minions.
She's less amused when she finds out about the invitation. Buffy rages about Dawn to Xander and Riley, and a tiny lightning storm of a moment occurs.
People slip, Buffy. Your mom did. She invited in Dracula. In for coffee.
Well, that was different.
As it happens, Dawn is listening outside to hear just the wrong amount of what's said to make her run off. I was reminded of Buffy overhearing Peppermint Joyce and her poison juice box in Dead Man's Party. As when it happened in that episode, this is still a storytelling contrivance I hate. A character overhearing just enough to be incited. I realize how recklessly I've abandoned anyone onboarding the episode guide at this point, because Peppermint Joyce and her poison juice box is so inside baseball for this channel that people are going to be like, what the hell are you talking about? And I don't mind. Action, but missing full context. Buffy calls Dawn a little idiot, but softens the blow just after she walks away. Dawn runs, Anya's injured trying to protect them from Team Unicorn, and in her lair, Harmony vents to Dawn.
They don't respect me. They pretend they do, but deep down they think I'm nothing.
I love the way mutant enemies so often layer stories and arcs into each other, and somehow it usually doesn't feel forced or heavy-handed. Harmony speaking Dawn's mind back to Dawn is great. Buffy shows up and annihilates Team Unicorn, and Dawn ends the episode by teasing the rest of the season.
She still thinks I'm Little Miss Nobody. Boy, is she in for a surprise.
Alright, so there were many hints along the way to let us know about the incoming Dawnster. There are elements to the Dream State, Faith, and Buffy conversation in Graduation Day Part 2 that we're not ready to unpack yet, but Faith made the comment,
Little Miss Muffet counting down from 730.
this is an obvious reference to a nursery rhyme. I forgot this was in here. Little Miss Muffet sat on a tuffet, eating her curds and whey. Along came a spider who sat down beside her and frightened Miss Muffet away. Which connects. The only reason that's in there is because I made the Buffy vs. Dracula reading, which was Downy woods are dark and deep, but I have promises to keep, stopping by woods on a snowy evening. And I had been thinking about doing that. I'd been thinking about doing that for so long. I think it was sometime in season 3 that I was like, I I was thinking about that. And then I published the Buffy versus Dracula video, and I was so excited to share it because I think that poem actually relates in a lovely, interesting way to the rest of season 5. And 2 people complained to me about the poem. And so, out of spite, I put another one in this video. Sin real me, too.
I know you. Curtain Way.
In this year's Girl, even though they were no longer linked in an unconscious dream state, Faith, who as a Slayer also has prophetic dreams, was still getting hints about Dawn coming.
Oh, you have to go. That's just with little sis coming.
Restless is packed with hints about Buffy's incoming sister.
Be back before dawn.
For a full rundown, you can watch my episode guide about it. There's a non-spoiler version if you haven't finished the series yet, and just listen for every time I say the word Dawn. There's a reason Mutant Enemy spent so much time building up the Dawnster's arrival, and it isn't simply for the sake of plot. Everything threads through Buffy herself, and while I can't spoil anything just yet, Buffy gives a very important clue as to what Dawn's thematic role is.
She doesn't get the sacrifices. She's a kid.
And that's what bugs. She gets to be a kid, and sometimes I would like to just curl up in Mom's lap and not worry about the fate of the world.
That specific line in the context of this season is its own kind of agony, but we'll get there. For now, just note that Buffy desires to have something that Dawn has, but is stuck between that desire and her calling. The push and pull is demonstrated literally in the opening scene, where Buffy reaches for the inner power of the Slayer and has her concentration broken by her sister. I love Real Me, and not in a I can see why some people don't candy episode kind of way. This episode is charming, hilarious, and deeply foreshadows the coming events of one of the show's best seasons. And yet, I've anecdotally found fan response to this one somewhat mixed. Its rating is currently sitting at 6.4 on IMDb. If you're new to the show and the fandom in general, understand I can't fully elaborate yet, but Dawn is a bit of a polarizing character. So, this would probably be a good time for me to I'm just going to come out and say it. Hi, my name is Ian, and I like Dawn. Look, I'm not going to say she's one of my absolute favorites, and there are certainly aspects to her that could have been handled better. But I mean, look, she likes all the same things we like chocolate ice cream and probably other things. She also dislikes the things a lot of us do. Her hunger for recognition and independence are all very relatable, and all of her emotional beats in this one, from resenting her older sister to even her crush on Xander, feel very grounded and relatable to me. Even if I wish the crush was on Giles, or Willow, or Tara, or Oz, or Anya. Dawn is just like us, but we'll get back to that. I've heard some fans express the view that in the later seasons, the fight choreography isn't as good. In the DVD commentary for this episode, David Fury said they deliberately changed up the fighting style starting with this season. Less martial arts and more raw, bare-knuckle boxing. The alteration in the way Buffy fights was driven by story, and Buffy's desire to get more at the core of what it is to be the Slayer. Her gaining greater access to raw power meant less reliance on technique. I get it, but I'm kind of with the people who prefer the earlier fisticuffs. My favorite fight is still the kinetic, brutal one in Doppelgangland, where Angel defacifies that vamp with a cue ball. A few other things of note here. Tucker's brother appears to have spent a brief stint as a vampire.
Sorry, forgot your name.
I'm headcanoning that one as a glitch in the Matrix brought on by the monks. What, I'm not spoiling? I was talking about the monks from I, Robot, You, Jane. What were you talking about? Or maybe this is Tucker's brother's brother, Chuck... Willow, Buffy's metaphorical spirit, is taking a drama class, confronting her fear and terror brought up in both Nightmares and Restless. It's a nice parallel to Buffy exploring what it is to be the Slayer. There's a lot lurking beneath the surface of Real Me, but that's really all we can get into right now. This one's great. I think if you watch the show a few times, it's easy to take for granted just how impressively lived in life with Dawn immediately feels. She has a rapport and a history with everyone already. What a testament to the great writing going on and some wonderful performances. It all feels very organic and real, despite us knowing that isn't quite the case. And in some way, I wonder if we can read it as a success of Dawn's character that the episode has such a low rating on IMDb. If part of the metaphor of the show is that we are all Buffy and the show's entire perspective is hers, then maybe it's fitting that Dawn's first dedicated episode should grump a rating from the internet lower than Teacher's Pet and Go Fish. Lower than Go Fish? Really, internet? Really?
That is wrong. A big fat spanking wrong. It's a slap in the face to every one of us who studied hard and worked long hours to earn our D's.
Yeah, less of that. Hi! Okay, so... That's a pretty clean review. The early reviews are challenging because, I mean, there's just not much you can say about the season. So, feels like a solid video. Yeah, I like that shirt too. And his hair glows. Shadow Man. His hair. It glows.
Oh. And you're welcome.
All right, let me switch over to the Hangout. Boop and boop. Am I up? Hi, Jack. Sound check.
I can hear you, but I can't see you.
You can't see me.
No.
That's weird.
There. What? You? Nope. You're gone. Come back.
How interesting. Well, technical difficulties. Momentarily, please. Camera failed. Everything's breaking.
You came up for like a second.
What about this one?
There you are. Oh, nope.
All right, let me try and rejoin. I will be right back. Hold on.
Alrighty.
We'll just go ahead and say, yeah, meet.google. That bit was my fault. Or your fault. Camera failed again. All right, hold on, everyone. Sorry. So I have two webcams. The one that you are seeing in the stream is the other one. Just a second. That's a view. La da da da. Huh? Please. Yeah, that kind of makes conversation difficult. As ever. I promise things were working before we started the stream. La da da da. Now, question of etiquette. Do I give you the? I'm not gonna say that. That's highly inappropriate. Trying it once more. Hey, there's a pretty face. Join now.
Hey.
Hello.
Hey. Hang on, Ian.
Yes.
Oh, you're muted. Okay.
Oh, am I muted? Okay. Okay.
Everyone in chat, you missed Jack singing. Sorry.
Ian, I sang to them. Why did you let me do this?
I
sang Unchained Melody.
I left your leash at home today, Jack. That's my bad.
God damn it.
Hi. Right. So you can hear me? Everything's okay? Hi, everyone. So, as of today, we are officially, I guess, only doing one episode at a time after we went 3 hours on Buffy vs. Dracula. So, no need for a pee break. I mean, maybe. We'll see how the see where the evening takes us. But the next in 2 weeks is Halloween. Someone has brought up not having a meeting on Saturday, Halloween evening. We're only meeting for an hour, and I don't know what everyone's Halloween plans are, but it doesn't seem like a big deal to me. So I guess we could put that to a vote. Does anyone care? Or are we meeting in 2 weeks as ever? We can deal with Christmas when we get there. I'd rather not adjust now. Cool. 2 weeks. Are we now? Yep. All right, Russell. Okay, so there's no snake draft or any kind of weird thing going on today. We are just gonna chat about real me. Let me get the video chat, the YouTube stream chat up. After shoving my chest in the stream, it's always an adventure here at Passion of the Nerd. Wouldn't you say, Charlie? Charlie, hi.
Hi.
Hi. How's things?
Okay. I'm starting to have assignments due, and that's always fun. But yeah, things are okay.
Well, I'm glad to hear it. Well, we're talking real me. Pretty straightforward. How do you feel about this one? What do you feel about season 5? Hit me.
And so it begins.
Yeah, exactly.
I really like this episode. I have lots of little thoughts. I feel like I really like sort of overall what the episode is doing. There are a few little things that bug me, but like overall what it does, I really like. I think the main thing, and that's as someone who loves Dawn, is I do get annoyed. You know, we've talked before that, you know, it's kind of she's written more as a 12-year-old in the first episode introducing her.
Well, specifically the chocolate face is the moment that feels age inappropriate. I mean, what is she, 16 or 15?
She's 14,
14?
I think, at this point.
Yeah, I think a 14-year-old knows how to eat chocolate ice cream. I think a 12-year-old knows how.
You can feel it on your face.
Yeah.
Like, it's cold and wet.
It's an odd moment.
It's like younger children, they don't really care.
Right.
But I think at 14 you would care. So I think there are a few of those little moments where it's like, can kind of tell, you know, 12-year-old girl, probably written by a man who hasn't really experienced being
early,
you know,
50s,
like kind of
late 40-year-old guy.
But I do feel even given that we do still get a good sense of who Dawn is in this first episode. Like, I just feel like there are a few still kinks from probably earlier drafts when she was a 12-year-old that could have been, you know, taken out.
I mean, how much, like, in terms of that sense, what you're talking about, that sense of who Dawn is, how much of that is textual, and how much of that is carried by Trachtenberg's performance? It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I feel some of it might also. I guess I do have a lot of trouble differentiating between when it's the writing, when it's the directing, and when it's the acting.
Yeah.
Sometimes, I think Michelle does a really good job from the beginning. You can tell it's a bit, a bit overacting a bit, and that might be the direction. At times, she's kind of overdo. Like, I feel like the only moment where, and again, I'm not sure if it's the acting or the directing, where I felt it wasn't quite landing is the scene where Xander is talking to Harmony in the doorway right before Dawn invites her in.
Yeah.
And, and she's kind of, and Dawn is behind Anya and kind of doing this dance, like, I want to go forward, no, but I'm hiding. And it was just, because the scene was it would have been good if it was just a couple of seconds of her doing that little sort of, she's this sort of movement where she wanted to go forward, but she was also hiding. And at one point she even she actually ducks down behind Anya. And while I felt, maybe on paper it's a good characterizing, like she's sort of young and inexperienced and scared, but she's also got a lot of gusto. Like I feel like from the beginning we see that Dawn is she has got a lot of spirit and she wants to be involved, and but she's inexperienced at the beginning. But just like 1 or 2 minutes of her kind of doing this weird, I feel like, and I feel like that should have been caught in the direction more. That she's obviously like someone should have said, okay, stop now.
Or the edit bay, if you can crisp
that
up
maybe
slightly.
Again, that's where my inexperience with all the process that goes into a TV episode go. But yeah, I feel mostly she does a good job. There are bits where she's overacting a bit, but it's also like just her first time as an actress in this space with all these actors who've been doing this for years. Like everyone else in this episode has been there from the beginning. Even Harmony has been there from the beginning. I feel like that would be quite daunting. And I think she does a really good job given that.
I think that most of the character that I think you're alluding to, that sense of who Dawn is established through chemistry, which I think is really remarkable. And I mentioned that in the video, but the lived-in relationships that she has with all of the different people in the group, including, do you want to thumb wrestle? I mean, thumb wrestle is not particularly a piece of background information about her character or anything like that, but it is so establishing of their relationship. And again, making Dawn feel like she's been there for, I just think it's really remarkable, the work they do in that regard.
But I think that's all. I feel like there's going to be a lot of Dawn defending this season. I don't feel I have to do too much of that this episode. All I wanted to say is that, she is played as a 12-year-old at the time, and I can understand why that might be a bit annoying at this stage.
Okay.
I get more offended at the she's annoying later on in the show. But at this point, I'm like, if you want to say she's annoying this episode,
you're talking about get out,
she's meant to be annoying.
Get out. Timing.
I don't want to stare at, I've done that. I remember doing that even at 14. That I remember doing that. You're just screaming because you can't control anything.
Yeah.
And it feels like just being able you scream. Like it might be a bit dramatic draped over the bed, but yes, I feel like we can get to that. But
devil's advocate, and this I think is something that we can have be part of a rolling conversation with Dawn, and that is the other child of the Buffyverse, Connor. And exactly. Now we have a Connor apologist, or a Connor defender. Apologist is an offensive term, so I'll say a Connor defender in the group. And the I'm gonna do the bit of the argument a little bit poorly, but Connor is very understandable. Connor's tude is very understandable. Connor was raised in a hell dimension. Connor was abducted from his family. His character, at least, is very understandable. And yet, people tend to dunk on Connor and defend Dawn. And I'm just curious where that line is and the why.
Okay, so I have a lot of thoughts. I understand why they are brought up in parallel, Connor and Dawn.
Yeah, the children of the Buffyverse.
I guess I do. For me, it's a matter of I really see Dawn's trauma, and I don't really with as in I'm not denying he obviously he has it. I'm saying I never really feel it. I don't as an audience member with Connor. Also, and there's also the thing of we see a lot, with his say his pervy behavior.
Sure.
I get a lot of people like, oh, he didn't get the talk, he didn't, which is all, he didn't get the talk from Holtz and all that stuff. And I get that. But I also feel it's setting the default as creepy behavior. Like, why should the default of, male sexuality be being a creep? Like, we could have, and I understand they probably, it was a certain time. If I were to rewrite it today, I would have, his sexuality on the contrary, not since it's grown outside of societal norms, be, him taking things for normal, like maybe he's attracted to everyone, like he, because he's never had that, limitation. He's never had, he's never had the norm be heterosexual relationships or on the contrary, a lot of toxic male behavior is learned by society. Why are we setting it as, if you grow up in society, you've never had limitations placed on your pervy, disgusting. Like, that's for me is why do we see that? Why would he inherently be so pervy?
Yeah.
But just because he grew up outside of society, that for me is, I'm like, people say like Dawn is annoying, but this, I can deal with, even, okay, she's annoying.
Sure.
She's not this disgusting character. Like, for me, like, I don't see why their behaviors are equated. I can have,
I don't know if they're on a
bad decisions.
I don't know if they're equated.
And Connor's behavior, like, I have, not that I, again, like, in the text can be justified by his history.
Sure.
And the, way Holtz raised himself. I can get it textually be justified that way. But as someone that I'm watching on screen, I can't personally, I just can't relate to anything he's doing. So I can't, yeah. And he never really,
I get it.
we get his mind wiped.
Yeah.
Yeah, we get his mind wiped, and so people say he's better in season 5, and I'm like, sure, I get that, like, the trauma's been taken away, but I'm not following a character development here. I don't feel like he's just magically.
My argument is that season 5 Connor is just not the same character. Sure, the person in season 5
still objectifying women, though. That again seems to be the one trait that's carried forward is his reaction to Illyria and stuff. It's just like, dude, that's your first thing. It's like, wow, woman in leather, I'm aroused. Like, that seems to be his one defining character trait. I blame the writers. I blame the writers for me not being able to relate to that.
Fair enough. Is there anything else you want to throw out about Real Me? I took you on a bit of a tangent there.
I think Anya is really great in this episode. Obviously funny with the Game of Life show, but she also, I think it surprised me going back, but looking back, she definitely has sort of an aunt role with Dawn from the beginning. She does feel, even though Dawn kind of resents her at first, she definitely feels, you can see her making an effort with Dawn from the beginning, like when she's presenting the games, like she's obviously trying to connect with Dawn, and I found that really heartwarming. And she's trying to, you can see her really try to protect Dawn, and
hello, little girl.
Unfortunately, Dawn's bad decisions.
Yeah.
Yeah, but she's trying, like, I feel like Dawn on her end is like, oh, I hate that, but me, I'm seeing Anya, like, she's trying to figure out how to relate to this person. I find it really heartwarming. I really like her in this episode. I like what they're doing with her. It makes also her betrayal next season, or Dawn's betrayal of Anya, with the stealing from the magic shop. I feel like I don't feel like they explored enough Anya's feeling of betrayal.
Yeah.
Maybe because it's seen as a bit, it was just a few knickknacks,
trinkets.
and trinkets, and it's all about Dawn's arc. I get that. But I think since we have that established from the beginning of their relationship, of Anya being that sort of cool aunt basically to Dawn, I do feel like that makes I really feel for Anya in the next season when she discovers that Dawn has been stealing from her. Like I feel like it's built from the very beginning of their relationship.
Yeah, good stuff.
Even though it's probably subtle, it's not like it's a main thing. We see more maybe with her and Tara, but we think more of her relationship with Tara.
I think it's there if you look.
Yeah, I also like that scene with when we meet Giles' new girlfriend, the car.
Yes, all red and sporty.
Yeah. When I feel like Buffy and Giles, their conversation in that car, they really feel like equals.
Mm-hmm.
Like I feel it's one of the first times, or at least that from my viewing, that I sort of make that thing of they feel like adults talking to each other. I feel like he's telling her, things, even just, he's talking about, him feeling a bit at a loss with his life. Whereas I feel before he might have tried to hide that more from her. I don't know. It feels just very open and like two adults talking to each other. I really like that.
I think their chemistry at this point is wonderful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Riley is okay in this episode. I don't have any complaints.
I will carry that mantle this season. I like season 5 Riley. I think that now I say that in this way. I like the ways in which he is flawed and broken in this in season 5. I think that it's interesting and nothing's justifiable when it comes to wrongdoing or anything like that, but it does feel very human to me. And that was lacking in season 4. Season 4 Riley is a little tedious. Season 5 Riley, I at least understand and can go, okay, I get it. Still sucks, but...
Okay, where I find Riley, so he's cute and sweet at the beginning. I like his first few appearances in season 4.
There's a very specific point where he gets gross.
Yeah. Then he gets boring and tedious and annoying. And then season 5, I hate him in Buffy vs. Dracula.
Yeah,
season 4.
Yeah.
Then I hate him in Buffy vs. Dracula. I like him. He's okay in this episode. And then I hate most of season 5.
Fair enough.
So that's why I do feel it's hard because you see him here, I think, really trying to be the supportive boyfriend.
Yeah.
And I understand that. I completely understand that later it becomes, he's not getting enough out of the relationship. I completely get that. It's it's how he reacts to it that I think is just
everyone in the Buffyverse is terrible at communicating.
Yeah.
Terrible at communicating.
But there is a thing in this episode, and I think Giles points it out, that that Riley should, and at least in this episode appears to be very understanding of Buffy's commitment to her job, because he's a military man. Like, they leave their families and their spouses for years normally. They should they should understand that. And the problem is that Buffy, she's kind of constantly deployed, and she has to, her battleground is her home life, and that makes the distinction a bit more difficult.
I think it gets more complicated than that, but we'll get into that. That's going to be a long discussion this season. And I do need to move on. Is there anything else you want to throw out about that before I move on to the next person?
No, just the overall is like, I really like that we don't immediately address who Dawn is in this episode. I like that we leave it hanging, and I like that we also start in conflict. It sets up a lot. Obviously, it sets up a lot about Buffy's character. And I just love that the first episode with Dawn and Buffy kind of hates her.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a really strong.
It all feels very real to me. And
You mean real to me or real me?
I said it and then I was like, well, crap. But yeah, appreciate it. Let me go back to. Let's go over to Mr. Boris. Mr. Boris, sir. Hi.
Hello.
And welcome to the Patreon Hangout.
And it is October 17th. And blah, 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 blah.
Yeah. Nailed it. How's things?
It's going, I guess. I guess we got this episode. Yeah, it's decent. It's okay. Yeah.
Entertaining. It moves.
It has some charm.
Pacey-wacy. I didn't just say that.
Big ball of stuff.
Well, tell me about how you feel about it. What you like, what you don't like.
Harmony is great. You know, that's to be certain. Like,
By the way, let me pipe up real quick. This is a fully spoiled discussion for anyone that is in the YouTube stream listening along. We do not put anything off limits, whether it be that this show or the other one. 7 seasons plus 5. So we've been warned. All right, go ahead, Boris. Sorry.
Yeah, so Harmony's pretty great. It's kind of like we're doing like kind of a redo of the Sunday thing a bit, but it's kind of nice, you know, like.
Well, Sunday's sharp as attack, but yes, Harmony will say less so, but with quite a bit more gumption.
Oh yeah, and this I just thought of this now because she gets like a book about like the history of the Slayers or something. And like, why would the Watchers allow that book to exist, to be sold? Like, you'd think they're supposed to keep things in the hush hush, but like apparently you can just go to a bookstore and buy a book about the Slayer, and that seems a little weird to me.
Well, I never got the sense that the Slayer was a secret, and the way the Watchers Council, I mean, Giles had those books in a high school library for 3 years. Which they only made jokes about in towards the end of season 3, I think. So to me it's pretty vague exactly what the Watchers Council considers secret versus.
Well, I guess like the idea is that like there could be like some weaknesses in there, and that might be a bad thing to have out in the world to like purchase in a store.
Sure.
Like, I don't know. Because apparently it's like a book that has copies, maybe. So it's like, you know, it just seems like a weird thing. But yeah. So back to Harmony. Her antics are amusing. I kind of like that. We're foreshadowing the end of the season where we have the blonde kind of wackadoo character kidnapping Dawn, and then Buffy has to save her. So that's kind of a foreshadow there for Glory, if you want to read it that way. Let me just show my notes. Oh yeah, Willow, for some reason, like one of her shirts has some words. I'm not sure if it's a quote, but it's like "till music be the feed" or something. I'm not sure what the word is, but if anyone had anything about that exists. So.
All right.
Usually at this point, like anytime there's words on a shirt, you kind of have to read it because it might mean something. That thing. Oh yeah, back to Will, I guess. Or at least it ties in this. I'm not sure if it was a great idea to have like implied Joyce was like at least in exhibiting like homophobic concerns about the whole like, because Dawn is like, you know, I like to learn some magic, and then like that's supposed to be like an allegory, like the whole the whole gay love thing.
Mm-hmm.
And like it seems like a weird move to have Joyce like not be cool with that, or at least like react very extremely about it. And considering this is the season where like, you know, where things happen with Joyce, I mean, obviously, I can say it, but I don't feel like saying it. It's sad.
Sure.
But yeah, it just seems like an odd move. I'm not sure.
Well, dated, sure.
Yeah,
I
like,
mean, early 2000s. It's. I believe that's a variation of a gay panic joke.
yeah, like I just like I
And those
get what
are
it's, I get what
mercifully falling out of fashion.
yeah. I guess it's just like it just seems like because like obviously we had like Buffy be like more supportive about it, so it just seems like a weird approach because like we're trying to make Joyce more likable in these after like from like season 3 onwards. And it just seems like a weird call to make, but whatever. It's just worth mentioning, I guess.
Yeah.
Uh,
Snapper in chat says that Kendra has a line where she says the Slayer must be kept a secret. So it does exist in the text.
All right.
And yet there's a book.
Vindication.
Go Team Buffy. Figuring the hive mind knows all.
Well, I don't know. I didn't remember that specific line. I just kind of felt like it had to be some kind of secret because like they kept like saying that they had to keep it from Joyce and stuff and like all this. So it's like, and like I know it's like an urban legend at least because like
among vampires, yeah,
like but it just seems like it's like a Men in Black thing. You don't want everybody knowing about it.
But if they could go by the book,
yeah. I feel like I would have more, but like I don't know. I might be a little tired. Maybe we'll come back to something later. But...
No, it's okay. It's a setup episode. The other thing too is like whenever we talk about these things, certainly in context, there's broader things to have a discussion about. But just kind of looking at the episode itself, that's one of the challenges of the reviews is one episode of Dawn. She seems fine here. She's fine.
I feel like maybe they could have given a better intro though. Like for this episode, like this scene, it just seems like we just have Dawn like messing things up just for the sake of it. Like just like I don't know if she like deliberately sabotaged that rock thing or just like she did it by accident. But it's like, I think it would have been better if she did do it by accident because then it's like it's kind of a bit more charming because like it seems like she did it on purpose just to end the thing and that seemed kind of mean for no reason. Like,
well, I mean, assuming she knew what the crystals did, but yeah, it seems inconsiderate.
Because she goes like, "Can we go now?" Like right afterwards.
At the very least, aggressive. At the very at the worst. Yeah, I get what you're saying. You're saying, yeah. So that's one of the challenges that I tried to talk about in the episode guide. Is she's clearly set up as
antagonistic,
an antagonist for Buffy, but Buffy specifically. Everyone else, she has some sort of relationship with or connection with, including Tara and her mom, definitely, which we find out more about in the next episode. But Buffy specifically, it's set up as an antagonistic relationship. Well, and Giles, but that's to me strikes me as more of a reflection of Giles's character than.
He's a stuffy guy.
It seems like that's just Giles being stuffy, not because Dawn is. All Dawn did was touch the radio in this episode, and he snaps at her. So I don't know. I get it. Dawn has grown on me every successive watch of the series, but the first time through the series, I really found her frustrating and not a lot of fun. But now I've done a complete 180. So, but I get it. I get it.
I do kind of like. I do like the idea of like they start out kind of antagonistic relationship and then like we build like to something more sisterly, I guess. Like, that's a good idea. And like we've had this kind of thing work before with like with Cordy and a little bit with Wes, but not really, at least in terms of Buffy, as far as like we have like our character come in and be kind of against everyone, and maybe the audience will not like that character, but over time we grow more. that person, and that kind of happens to Dawn, but I kind of feel like season 6 especially, I feel they kind of dropped the ball as far as like giving her a proper progression.
Season 6 is very busy. There's a lot going on in season 6, so sure, yeah, she might not have
character. Yeah, because the thing is with season 6, it's supposed to be like a very character focused season, but like Dawn really got like the shaft as far as like solid character business goes. And that's unfortunate. I guess that covers some overall Dawn thoughts as well.
All right, bud.
So let's pass it along.
Sounds good. Before we move on, Beach Girl, scrolling backwards, hit the donation button.
The dance of
Oh, it froze, so we're going to do the dance of capitalist superiority again.
The dance of
There we go.
capitalist superiority.
Oh, and it's flanked by oh, you guys are the best. Beach Girl, I really need this today. Please cue the dance of capitalist superiority. Ian, hi, Boris. Thank you, Beach Girl.
Hello.
I appreciate it. Who wants to go next? Tom? We'll go Tom, then Sarah. Tom, hi.
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 How are you?
I'm doing great. I like your headroom.
Thank you.
Last time it was just we saw this when you signed in, so
Yeah.
I appreciate it. So real me, I think you're one of our few who got to watch this while it was airing.
Yes.
What did you make of this episode?
Well, I've always liked this episode, although I like it more now than I did then.
I agree. Understanding where it's going, I think this one gets a lot better.
I remember when it first aired and talking with people about it, and a couple of people commented that they thought it was because they hadn't liked season 4. They thought that this was almost like a Cousin Oliver type deal, where you bring it in.
Cousin Oliver? I don't know.
Yes, that's a. It's kind of like it's kind of the same period as Jumping the Shark, but it's a different thing.
Was it Different Strokes?
No, Brady Bunch.
Brady Bunch. Okay.
Brady Bunch. Later season, they brought in Cousin Oliver because all the other kids were older.
Yeah.
And so they weren't cute anymore. So Cousin Oliver was a cute kid, and so they brought him in, and it didn't work. And so my initial theory was that because I believed that at that time that Joss Whedon was God, that he was doing this to make us think that he was a Cousin Oliver, but he was what do you call it? Something the trope.
Subverting
the trope. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean that seems very on brand to go for. Oh, we knew Dawn was around all the time. No, that's I think that's lovely.
Yeah, but I always thought, and I noticed because I rewatched it this afternoon, and Dawn talked about her being the real me.
Right.
And also, there's a point when Harmony talks about her real me.
Yeah, nobody knows the real me.
Nobody knows the real me.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so that's the first time I've noticed that.
Yeah.
I've watched this episode. That's that.
Yeah, the reference that I was trying to make to that was it's interesting having Harmony speak Dawn's lines back to her.
Yeah.
But I mean, given that everything is an examination of Buffy's character, with very few exceptions like Wild at Heart. Yeah, it's interesting where everything goes for sure.
Yeah. But I love Dawn in this episode. I think she's very entertaining and very very believable to me. Because probably because I've never been a 14-year-old girl.
Yeah.
Or a 12-year-old girl at that, you know. At least not in this lifetime. Maybe some past lifetime I was. Who knows? But
Yeah.
I don't remember those. So
yeah,
that's,
that's the thing that I love about this episode is everything feels very. The chemistry just feels lived in and well established and all that, and they did it in one episode where it didn't exist before. I think that the episode is kind of a magic trick that I really enjoy.
I think it helps a lot that Sarah and Michelle had worked together before.
Yes, on all my children.
All my children. So they had a comfort. There's a certain comfort there. But just there's just so much in this episode that's delightful. I mean, I love Harmony in this episode. I mean, I kind of liked Harmony season 4, but this is the first time I almost fell in love with Harmony.
Yeah, the episode Harsh Light of Day, she's just kind of there to annoy Spike, which and sort of I don't know, she feels underused in comparison to her coming out party here. Where she comes out as the leader of her own gang and having like plans and stuff. I think is wonderful, and it really shows. What's her name? Mercedes
McNabb.
Yeah, Mercedes McNabb. She's got such wonderful comedic range. Especially ever since the Addams Family, that it was nice to see her used more extensively here. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. And I love all the little references here and there, like the when I think it was Buffy talks about the average magic shop owner having the lifespan of a what's the name? Help me out, Boris.
Spinal Tap Drummer. Yeah,
I knew he was going to bring that up. So, and the reference to Giles telling Buffy, how bored were you last year? I watched Passions with Spike.
Let us never speak of it again. And so it sounds like Dawn, for you.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah. And I also, and honestly, I'm also a Connor supporter as well.
I love that.
He has grown on me as I've rewatched. He has grown on me as well.
I love that. I
understand him a little more, and I've noticed that I think I may be the only human being on the planet who has watched Angel and not been weirded out by the Connor.
You might be by the Oedipus scene in season 4. Fair enough. No, I love that. I love. I never want to have a bad time with any episode. I don't embrace negative feelings. I don't enjoy dunking on any particular character or any of that. So that wasn't always true early with season 1 and season 2. But so I love the alternate perspective. I'm not a Connor fan. Who knows when I get to him in the episode guide, but I love hearing alternate perspectives on him. And I understand. I've always understood how he got to be the way he is. That's never been my criticism of the character. I think it's very clear the trauma that motivated him, that he's dealing with, that shaped the character that he is. That's never been part of my criticism of Connor, is that he's unbelievable. But yeah, it's interesting how of course, I did this by bringing him up, but it's interesting how a little bit of Connor is inevitable when we talk about Dawn.
Yeah.
Just for the sake of comparison. But I think it's an interesting study of establishing characters. Some people who don't like both. Fair enough.
Yeah. I mean, there are people who never liked the relationship between Buffy and Angel.
Yeah.
Because of the age difference.
Yeah.
Because Buffy was 17. And my thought was always, well, in a normal relationship, that might be a problem. But since Buffy's the Slayer, has a much shorter life expectancy, I think we can cut her some slack.
Yeah, in Mark's book,
we can give her an extra. We can give her extra year.
In Mark's book, that much of that spawned the channel that I've spoken about many times, Myth, Metaphor, and Morality. His suggestion is that once you get into a world of fantasy, to apply the same specific rules of our day to day, when you're talking about a being that's 100 and some years old and a superhero, it's a little, it doesn't quite, nothing lines up one to one. It doesn't exactly work. The problem is that Buffy, as a show, uses that fantasy world to comment on contemporary society and gender politics and all of that. And so it invites those comparisons in that conversation, where something like, stricter fantasy, not so much. So Buffy is a whole lot of gray area when it comes to morality and equivocating. Some of it I'm completely on board for. Some of it gives me the bad feelings in my tum-tum. So, it ends up being subjective and individual, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Tom, is there anything else you want to throw out about Real Me?
No, I think that's it. Thanks.
All right, my friend. Let me go back. Sarah E. Right? Did I get that? Yes. Oh, yes.
Hey. I think our other Sarah said that she had to leave at 6:30. So maybe she should
thank you, Sarah C. Yes. Hi.
Hello. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. You loud and clear.
Hi. Okay, great, awesome. Yeah, I apologize. I have to leave at 6:30.
No. But... Good. I should always lead with, does anyone have something they need to hustle out? I'll try and do that from now on.
No sweat, man. Just real quick, read the discussion on age gaps. I've had a lot of discussions about this with if Kay's watching, shout out to Kay, because but that fantasy and especially vampire fiction tends to people going into my news just oh, well, she's 17 or 18. I'm look, if someone is over 100 at this point, does it really matter if they were it's a huge age gap, and either you apply that all the way through or you recognize that that's not what the text is commenting on, in the sense of Spike meets Buffy when she's 16, and it's implied that Drew broke up with him because you're obsessed with the Slayer. And is it gross because she's 16, or does it matter that they were in their 20s when they were turned? Is Anya a pedophile because she's 1200, and does 1200?
That's
what does 1200 do with 18? But
no one brings that up with Anya because
I was thinking about that for two reasons, I think, and then I'll actually get on track. But
this is the track.
One, every time people talk about pedophilia or quote unquote, which I hate, but whatever, when they talk about age gaps, it's usually Buffy and Angel, which is fair because it's the way it's framed, and David looks really old, and they changed the age because of David, so it looks icky, and it's late 90s sensibilities. It's bad,
right?
And it's occasionally with Spike, but then they're oh, Buffy was older, but then I'm if he's 130, doesn't matter. They're both old as shit, but you never hear it with Anya, and the two reasons I think are that one, she's a woman, and we have less of a tendency to read, because really when we're talking about, there's an age gap, what we're talking about is there's a difference in power dynamic, right? There's an adult, right? There's an adult who is exercising control or manipulation or grooming on a kid, right? That's what we're actually talking about. And with Anya and Xander, when we criticize the relationship, we actually say Xander's being condescending, and he, usually, right? Xander's being condescending or patronizing, right? And we'll actually criticize him for holding more of the power. Why? Because we read, Xander was an adult, but he was 18. when they went to prom together. Like, what, she met him when he was 18. Does it matter if she's 1,200, right? If she's 1,200, does 2 years make a difference, right? You know what I mean? I'm like, at a certain point, we don't really talk about the age gap in that sense because Anya is treated as a new person by the narrative. There's the woman thing. We have tendency to read different dynamics. And there's the fact that within the narrative, right, he's almost infantilizing towards her because we read the dynamics more than the nominal age. So that's all I have to say on that. But I just noticed that Anya doesn't come up, and I think there's some interesting stuff.
So your argument is either they are both okay or neither of them are, but you've got to make up your mind.
Fantasy age gaps are weird because we don't have
very weird.
We don't have a metric to analyze it by. Is it how old they are? Is it how when they were turned, or is it how old when they got a soul? Or like, because the idea of the self, right? How old is the self that's interacting with them? Is it the self frozen in time? Is it the self that's been around for 1,000 years? We don't have a metric for it. So what I say is just be consistent. If you're like one is bad, then all are bad, or you say they're bad and it's a relic of the genre and just try to understand what the text is saying type thing. That's me personally.
Yeah. Well, again, I think that I agree with you broadly when it comes to fiction. I think that the challenge is that Buffy is so specifically allegorical and is so often commentary. And when you get into, for instance, when you get into stuff like assault, sometimes vampire is a vampire is a vampire. Sometimes it's sexual assault. Sometimes it's cheating. I think that the show itself creates the gray area where a lot of these conversations live. Yeah. But again, broadly, I think I agree with you.
Yeah. I just think it's interesting. So actually, Real Me.
Yes, Real Me.
So this is, as you said, it's sort of a setup episode. So there's not like exciting stuff to talk about or like payoff stuff. But obviously the big thing is Dawn. And when you talk about Dawn, right, there's this, it has me thinking about like the popular narratives of shows and the way that we sort of interact with them. Like if you don't know the show and you just sort of pick stuff up as you're watching it or before you watch it and you're online and you hear like, oh my God, Dawn sucks. God, I can't wait. Or you're going to meet this character. God, they're terrible. Right. And you go in with that in your head or vice versa. Right. I think there's so many, I just wonder if someone who wasn't privy to these narratives what kind of take they would have. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I just think it's interesting how we have the oh, Dawn, oh, Connor, which is not unfounded. But I just think it's interesting how we interact with these narratives and how they influence how we watch. Because I can say that when I've watched other shows too, and I've gone in having absorbed sort of some of the discourse, it's hard for me to
I mean, what you're describing is one of the reasons why I try very hard to avoid the discourse for shows that I'm getting into, or because it's very, especially given what we both do, it's very important to find your own voice and your own perspective on something first, and then engage in that conversation. But I don't know. When I watched the show Early 30s, I was not a big member of the online community, and I was aware of the big death in season 5, the first big death in season 5. But other than that, I came into this season pretty unspoiled, and my response, lacking some of the personal context for the type of character that Dawn is, was not a favorable one. The first time through. But like I said, every ensuing rewatch, I've enjoyed what they were doing with her more. But again, that's just me, and that's very anecdotal, of course. I think it's interesting what you're talking about.
I went in fully spoiled, which is entirely my fault, but I enjoyed it anyway. But I went in like fully, every single thing. Which is something that really makes me sad, honestly, when I think about it. But, so Dawn's age, I think she's,
12 to 14 to
personally, right, for early scenes, even if I don't enjoy watching them, I'm like, no, this makes sense. Even if she's okay, she's supposed to be 15, because again, there's the casting thing, right? They cast Michelle, but it's okay, she's a newborn,
Yeah, so, she's a day old.
Sure. You know what I mean? Let's say she's acting like a 9-year-old. Okay. Great. 10 minutes old, man.
That's
So,
the simple headcanon for the chocolate on the face. She's 1 day old.
like, so it doesn't. I'm not crazy about her one way or another in the sense of I'm not bothered by her except when she screams, although I don't think most people would disagree with that. But I'm also like, she doesn't evoke strong particular feelings in me except when she's sister bonding with, I almost said Sarah, with Buffy, and that's good. So that's,
I love the sister
I think the
bonding
difference between Dawn and Connor for me, because I was thinking about it, and I was like, why do I feel more of an instinct to defend Dawn than Connor? And I think we sort of talked about it in the chat, but is that we're given more of Dawn that is not just the things we hate. Like with Connor, I can rationalize all day long. Like I know why he's awful, but that's the range he gets. Like I don't have moments where I want to feel for him.
Yeah, I mean that's a reading. Yeah.
That's to me personally, like I don't see him like whatever. I don't see him struggle or have moments that evoke that like inner, or I don't know, like compassion.
I get what you're saying. Like attachment in this particular episode. Yes, Dawn and Buffy have an adversarial relationship, but Dawn has 6 other relationships presented from the start, and some of them are endearing and sweet and a connection. A lot of that is missing from the storytelling with Connor, which is not his fault, but it also limits the certain audience members' ability to attach to him or develop anything other than rational understanding of. Yeah, rationally I get it, but he's not fun.
Yeah.
It's just not a fun character to be with.
Less fun to watch. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that's the thing, is that I can understand him all day long, and he's less fun to watch. And then the last thing, so just call it, because again, I have fun with this episode. It's part of sort of the beginning of season 5 that I find really like warm. And is that the Scoobies? Obviously, we're seeing all the Scoobies through like Dawn's eyes, so they feel like the. I mean, it makes sense because of how the passage of time works, but they just feel like the most adult we've seen them. Like, oh, like Xander has a cool job. I don't know, so like and they also just feel like, also the way they're dressing them, they just feel like young adults, and I just feel like kind of proud of them.
Yeah.
Which I think it's hard to forget that they're only 19, 20, which is young, but that there's this very specific, just I think by juxtaposing Dawn and her outlandish immaturity with all of them, they just feel like solidified people, especially coming out of season 4. In a way that I really enjoy.
Yeah, confidence in who they are that wasn't present in season 4. Yeah. Season 4 was an exploration. This one is more of a, okay, we know, we kind of know now, which is fitting in obviously the metaphorical relationship that they all have to Buffy. Problem with you, Summers, is you've gotten so good you think you're invulnerable, and so every character in this is sort of starts out self-assured and is touched by tragedy and reality in a way. The other thing too is I was just thinking, you want Buffy, like part of the benefit of having Buffy and Dawn begin as adversarial is their relationship has someplace to go. There's a journey that can occur between the two of them that evolves sort of slowly and beautifully and in a way I really enjoy. So if they had started as best friends, that's the finish line. That's not, that's not a fun place.
Yeah, and I wanted that with Connor and Angel. Like I'll stop, but literally the way they tease it. I was like, oh, they're bonding. It's like, no, he was playing him the whole time. But you do that enough times, and I'm just bored. Like I'm like, great, you're not going to do it. I don't like. That's the thing. So it's fine.
It's almost like the real problem with Connor is not Connor. It's that the storytelling kind of let Connor down, along with, by association, all of us. Yeah, fair enough. All right. Anything else you want to throw out about this episode?
I am all good. Thank you for fitting me in.
Sounds good. All right. Let's go from Sarah to Sarah.
Hey.
Hi.
How's you?
I'm great. Yeah. How are you?
Okay.
Sweet.
Yeah. Working on classes and stuff. So I really like Real Me.
I do too,
And
yeah.
I really like Dawn. It makes a difference that I am a little sister. I have been the annoying little sister.
Yeah.
I will hold my hands up. I have been, and the thing is, like, being around your sibling can also make you revert into the most annoying form of yourself.
Yes, I know that to be true.
So I have all sorts of, kind of like how Willow has her, like, how does she put it? Feelings because of being a spaz, I think is the word she uses, which isn't ideal, but yeah. I have sympathetic feelings to Dawn for the whole being an little sister, and sort of, especially when you're young and you sort of you do want to kind of, your big sister's friends are kind of cool, and you do kind of want to impress them, and then you end up being kind of dumb.
Yeah, I was the dorky younger brother trying to hang with my sister's high school friends, so I do remember that. Wow, that was a big, hard flashback PTSD moment of you bringing that up. Thank you for that.
So maybe the chocolate on the face makes a little more sense.
Yeah, I mean, what you're describing was what I was trying to get at, which is like a lot of times the discrepancies that in the fandom between people's either defense or like or love of a particular character, often there's a contextual understanding of them. Like, you've been that character, you've been through what they've been through, and so you feel like, and I know that certain people have dealt with some abuse and pain in the way that Connor had to deal with, and so feel a way for him that I don't have access to, and that the younger teenage sister who both looks up to her sister and resents her for not letting her into the group all the time, that was just an experience that I was missing, which might account for my first run through of the show where I was like, I'm not enjoying this, and then on successive ones I was like, oh, this is pretty fun,
Yeah, I also think, like, a lot of the issues with Dawn, I think I kind of like watching it more critically. I kind of like that she feels very much like a construction of girl, at least to begin with.
Yeah.
Dawn, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, just because our whole idea of girlhood is constructed.
Right, sure.
She's not a person trying to live up to that construction. She is a construction who becomes a person.
Yeah, and whether that was intended or not, I kind of love that. She's not a teenage girl. She's a what a bunch of celibate male monks think an American teenage girl is. And I think that's fun.
Yeah. And they're making her out of Buffy, right? So, like, they're probably making her out of Buffy's memories of things like the little cousin and, Disney Channel and that sort of, like, Buffy's memories of, thoughts of what teenage girlhood is and what a little sister is. Like, cumminess in there. But I find this more than just Dawn's arrival. I find this episode interesting for, like, a transition thing and its place in the season, because I was noticing how much Harmony is dressing kind of like a drag version of Buffy.
Interesting.
Halter tops and the leather pants and the makeup is all the stuff that Buffy does, but, like, turned up to 11.
Okay.
Or 15, really. It's like, you got leather pants, I have gold leather pants. You got a fancy halter top, mine has sparkles and fringe. And they're thinking about Giles' speech at the beginning of the episode talking about being the center of everything. And I think, and then we have Harmony acting essentially as the embodiment of self-centeredness and trying to be sort of a shadow Buffy and failing.
Yeah.
And while we have Dawn writing the diary from perspective and also being sort of like self-centered, and then Buffy is being self-centered too in her whole, like, when she's complaining about the, you know, little having to take care of little sister and all that, she's actually being kind of whiny, which is very unusual for Buffy. It's like there's a whole self-centeredness and Dawn are kind of working out while in conflict with Harmony acting as like the embodiment of self-centeredness. And this is in the beginning of setting up the season where we're going to have Glory, who is just like completely self-centered. And I think there's sort of there's a theme in this season, you know, of self-sacrifice and doing things for others versus like total selfishness. Because like I mean, that's what Buffy is going to sacrifice herself for everybody.
Yeah.
And, you know, in conflict with Glory, who is going to try and destroy the world so she can destroy all of creation so she can get home.
Destroy everything to save herself versus destroy herself to save everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's kind of an interesting sort of, you know, set up for the themes of the season there. And yeah, it's cool. I disagree with you guys liking Riley in this episode.
Fair enough.
Think, or like you can like him all you want.
Yeah.
But I think he's good in the first scene where he's all being understanding, but I find him super condescending in the graveyard when he's like telling Buffy, he's sort of like, Buffy just needs to vent, and he's kind of like going, oh, he's sort of dismissing her points continuously and
Yeah.
talking to her and mansplaining her emotions. Like, hey, this is not what this is not what she needs in this moment.
Yeah.
And there's ways to do this that are not so very, very condescending.
Do you think that the scene would have gone differently if that was Willow walking through the yard with him, or the graveyard with her? Or Tara, for instance, given Tara's earlier relationship. And Tara tends to be a bit of a defender for the downtrodden, I think, at times in the story. I don't know why I said that, though. I'm trying to think of a specific example now. But I'm not specifically getting on the what I'm just wondering, though, is like, I get what you're talking about, especially in the context of any relationship. Occasionally people just need to get let off some steam, and you need to be able to distinguish between, is this a fix-it moment or is this a just shut up and listen moment? And he does not distinguish in that moment very well. He goes, fix it, and she's looking for her. No. I just need you to be my boyfriend and just let me get this off my chest so that I can go back in that situation and not be carrying this, so that I can have clarity and all of that. And he doesn't give that to her. I agree. But I'm just wondering if it necessarily would have gone... Xander, I could definitely see him... And that scene occurs later where Xander and Riley are both pulling the Dawn Defender fix-it thing. But I'm just wondering, like, would that have been guaranteed to go differently with any of the other characters?
I think yeah. I think it could have. I think we may have gotten like the worst parts of each of them.
Yeah.
And that, because it's kind of set up for it not to go great, that
right.
conversation. But I think I think Tara probably would have listened to her and maybe asked questions instead of this sort of like, sort of the sort of his response of like, but it's always been like this. But why is this? But like, I mean, yeah, he's asking questions, but it's in a sort of dismissive, like, why are you feeling what you're feeling way?
And arguably, any other character has more capital to spend with the audience than Riley does. So, even if Willow were to have the same dialogue, we like Willow. Yeah, so it might. I think that regardless, I was just curious, as a thought exercise, if that would have played differently with any of the other ones. But ultimately, I think it just comes back to Riley.
And maybe it's there. There's elements that's the delivery, and his position as boyfriend. I don't know. It just comes off as like, just let her talk.
Yeah, I get it.
I mean, even though she is being whiny, it's sort of like sometimes you need to be able to whine.
Yeah. Everyone has an occasional moment.
Especially about siblings and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
I
remember. Doesn't Willow have a line where she says, "Buffy, you're being a little," and she says, "No, I'm being a lot," and she owns that what you're describing. That, like, I don't know if that's a Willow Buffy scene or if that happens in that particular scene with Riley, but she does eventually own that sort of selfishness, which is set up in season 3. Now she's getting along with my fries, and Joyce says, "You're lucky you were an only child." So all of this, Buffy's reaction is completely predictable, but I get what you're saying totally.
Yeah, and maybe it's just it's probably partly because I really disliked. I mean, I feel some pity for Riley, but overall I find him deeply unpleasant.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah. But I also I do love Giles in this episode and his sort of like finding his new thing.
Mojo.
Yeah, I think that's lovely. And the bit of a costume thing is that I do love they've got Dawn in blues a lot, and blue is very much comes up as sort of the young look, and it was very much what Buffy wore when she was young and in the early seasons. And I think and she wears it much less from now on. So I think there's a visual sort of compartmentalizing of that piece of Buffy into Dawn.
Yeah. I like it. Very elegant.
Yes. Yeah. So yes, I love. Yes, I do love this episode. And I love Dawn, and I will defend her.
All right. Good deal. Is there anything else you want to throw out about this one?
The line on the shirt is "The music must be freed."
Well, she's getting back into drama, and there's the Madame Butterfly scene where she couldn't sing, and so her the nightmare dream she's in Madame Butterfly and can't find her voice and can't sing. And so her taking drama classes in season 5, that makes a certain kind of sense to me.
Yeah.
That makes me wish that I had seen that detail, because I think that's really kind of cool.
Yeah, I think it's kind of neat. I think there's an argument that there's sort of a connection with music and magic well before Once More with Feeling.
Yes. Yeah, for sure.
So, yeah. That's what I got.
All right, well, good deal. Let's go to Wonder. Hello.
How you doing?
I'm
Having a
doing
good day.
great.
Good. I'm happy to hear it.
How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Having a fun day. I had a toddler kind of distracting me around the time Tom was speaking, so I apologize if I do a little repeating, but
no, all good.
unintentionally. But I just want to say on the Connor versus Dawn, I think that while they're both kind of these antagonist characters to different degrees, I think that Connor, like Dawn, isn't really taking out her trauma in the same way. Connor was both like actively trained to go after Angel, but he also it was a lot of trauma living in a hell dimension, and he wasn't raised with a whole lot of caring in the hell dimension. He was just kind of left in a hole or whatever and left to track all by himself. And so I think it's a mix, right, of doing what he was trained for and actively just kind of taking his trauma out on other people. And
yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I'm taking in what you're saying.
And I think I see kind of this searching of a justification. He's so quick to going back to that because I feel like he's searching for any sort of sign of a justification that, like, oh no, see, he was right. Angel is bad. Yeah. And first it's just because he was told so much that he was bad and he wants, that training to come out and for it to be justified. But then also after that, he wants to win Cordelia. So
well, I think it's a sticky conversation. I think that if we sort of examine them as we've all said that we can empathize or we have compassion for them, and if we get into the sort of the details of their character, the problem to me is that they're both trauma victims and they're both kids. And that makes the minutia of their personalities, I think, difficult to either critique or to discuss in detail. The reason I brought it up was I'm just interested what either the comparison allows us to understand about our own feelings about the characters, or what the comparison allows us to understand about the storytelling, and where maybe could Connor's story have been written in a way that allowed more of the audience, I know some of the audience connects with him, but more of the audience to connect with him such that when he does terrible things, it feels less the way it feels. Every character on the show, like for instance, Dark Willow. When Dark Willow occurs, that's something that is sort of emotionally captivating in a way that the things that Connor does, I personally, speaking for myself, find frustrating and exhausting. And I'm just that was the reason I brought the comparison up. It seems like more people fall in the Dawn Defender category, and I just think it's interesting where that line is for them between Dawn versus Connor. Not from standpoint of a character, they're both kids. They're both trauma victims. So I think it's it just gets it gets tough getting into minutia. Does that make sense? I'm sort of babbling. Bail me out here one.
Yeah. Yeah, I like both of them. When Connor does bad, I feel kind of for both parties. Obviously, he's hurting the characters that I love, but also it's just like, oh man, I really want for him to have the connection that he deserves.
Yeah.
As well, and I like Dawn. I'm an older sibling, and I had some pretty bad sibling rivalry growing up. So sometimes I think, maybe the monks could have seriously miscalculated how bad sibling rivalry could be. I mean, when I was deep in the throes of it, I still wouldn't want the world to end, but I don't know that I would have gotten catatonic, and I don't think I would have died.
Yeah.
But and part of that is this line that Buffy has of, I know it's always been this way, but lately it's really getting to me. And I really like that they put that in there, because up until now, these are just memories that the monks built. But now she's actually having to live with it.
Yeah.
And so it's like, it's understandable why it's really, really bugging.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And but yeah, I didn't even get into the show until my adulthood, because my sister loved the show when we were growing up. So I avoided it like it's a plague. I only got into it because I remembered, like, the only bit I remembered was about the first Halloween episode. And that kind of stuck with me, because I thought it was a really cool idea of them becoming their costumes. But if I hadn't remembered even that little bit, because I avoided it so hard. Sibling rivalry was so bad, and I definitely, I wouldn't be enthusiastic. I wouldn't slash at her with a knife so that I could save the world. But I'm letting Giles kind of take care of it. And... Sorry, is that bad?
It makes sense.
Yeah, I like the episode. I think it's funny. I think it's funny that Tom Link's character, Andrew, was Tucker's brother. And I think it's really funny that Tom Link plays the vampire Cyrus, and he's introduced as Peaches' friend.
Oh, I missed that. That's great.
I saw so funny. It's just not just Cyrus. Oh yeah, he's Peaches' friend.
Huh.
I don't know. I found that detail really funny, because he's always referred to as Tucker's brother. But yeah, I think it's funny. It's a good episode.
Yeah, it's a good one. Is there anything else you want to throw out about that one?
No, that's it.
All right, good deal. Let's go. Oh, I almost hung up. I didn't mean to do that. Let's go over to Russell. Russell, sir.
Okay, is my mic working this week?
Your mic is working loud and clear. How you doing, brother?
Perfect. I'm good. How are you?
Good. Real me, or whatever you should choose to comment on.
Well, actually, I was going to talk about real me, but somebody brought up Connor.
Well, that would be me.
Actually, I'll start with real me first.
Okay.
Now, I could be reaching here, so
well, this is
feel free to say that I'm
reaching conversation. So go for it.
But the title, if you reverse the words, you get me real. It's almost a child's play of words. Am I real?
Huh.
Which would be a clue to me that Dawn, is she real? my first time watching it, I didn't catch it, but my second time, I did pick up on that. Like I said, I could be reaching, and it's not.
I like it.
But you had once said that season 5 Connor was a cheat. Now, I'm not talking about Connor here for a minute.
Well, for clarity, I say that it's a different character.
Okay.
I don't think season 5 Connor works as a defense or in relationship to the discussion of Connor's character and the storytelling around him. But anyway, go ahead.
Again, I'm not bringing up Connor at this point.
Yeah, fair enough.
But I think you would have a same argument that Team Angel would also be a cheat because their memories have been they've been changed. They've been wiped. They've been rewritten.
Okay.
And I wasn't going to bring up really Team Angel, but it really applies to Team Buffy and Dawn. The same situation applies. Their memories have been rewritten to include a character of Dawn.
Okay.
And I've often wondered, even from my first watch, did that have something to do with the relationship of Buffy and Riley?
Did what have something to do with the relationship with Buffy and Riley? Oh, are you're saying that did the wipe affect their relationship?
Yes, because it feels very different from season 4 into season 5, particularly this episode on. At least to me. So,
I mean, certainly everything had the one that always stands out to me is her father. Her father's role in the series is greatly changed in season 5, and the clearest explanation for that to me is Dawn and the ways in which that rewrote the Summers family story. But I mean, it's possible. I think that a lot of the Riley's insecurity and pride and machismo was well set up in season 4 to the point of maybe being tedious, and a lot of that is what rears its head this season. And other than their communication issues, and Buffy is the thing I love about their tailspin is that there are mistakes on both sides. Again, when you get to the question of characters that have capital with us, the audience, and the ones that don't, obviously Buffy has quite a bit more, but she makes mistakes in the relationship as well. And so I think it's a very human tailspin that they experience. But I do think that Riley's end of it is well set up at the end of season 4. To just for my feelings.
Cool, fair enough. I just felt it felt a little different. Now I guess I'll go into. Oh no, wait! I'll talk about Harmony for a second. I kind of like Harmony in this episode. I don't know why. It's just the fact that she has minions.
Yeah.
And Mort. A very serious. I just found out today. The actors that played Mort and Brad, rest in peace. They both passed away. I looked it up on IMDb, but Mort, I can't see him joining her gang. He's just too alpha to. But I guess whatever. I'll just go right into Connor.
Okay.
Dawn this season, I will defend up and down. Season 5 Dawn, I will defend, as well as Connor. They're both victims. You're almost borderlining on child abuse here with Connor. Him being abducted, him being thrown into a hell dimension.
Oh, I don't think it's borderline at all. I think it is 100% child abuse with Connor. Like I said, they're both trauma victims, and they're both kids. I mean, again, Sarah C. earlier talked about the challenges of applying the same moral and ethical structure from our culture onto a fantasy universe. But again, I think the shows invite that comparison. But yeah, I absolutely think it's child abuse. But I didn't mean to derail you. Go ahead.
No, that's okay. And for them to both be reminded, and they are both reminded, especially Dawn later in the season, that they shouldn't exist, that they shouldn't be here.
Mm-hmm.
That's just damaging. I don't care who you are. To tell a child you shouldn't belong here, it's just crippling.
That is an interesting further parallel between the two of them. The way Dawn was kind of a miracle baby, not kind of, and or rather, Connor was a miracle baby, and Dawn is a from scratch creation. So interesting. There are parallels between the two of them. Go ahead.
And so, yeah, I totally understand them both in the way they react. And especially with Connor, at first blaming his father for the things Holtz had lied to him about, to transitioning to, why didn't you protect me? You should have done a better job. You were my father, which is what we get to at the end of season 4, Angel. So
yeah, he goes on quite a journey.
I will always defend him, and season 5 Connor may be a cheat, but at the point that he gets his memories back, I don't think it's that much of a cheat because he gets free will.
I'll think about it. I almost would have preferred that the memory wipe didn't happen, so that Connor could have an actual redemption from the experiences. I mean, similar to what his father had in Epiphany, that moment of there is evil all around and it can't be defeated. And he's on the cusp of that in the church when he's standing over Cordelia's unconscious body. Him sort of, what he's doing for the first time is questioning his own internal motivations, his own internal ethic, his idea that he's been trying to do right. He's been trying to do the whole thing. And a lot of that gets undermined by, again, the mind wipe, where he never quite gets to his epiphany moment, where maybe we could have attached to him in a way that well, I'll speak personally, that I could have attached to him in a way that I was struggling to the entire time, and understood that I want that experience. I want to connect with the character. I want to be excited when they're on screen. I'm not looking to have a negative experience. So I don't know. I do think it's a fascinating conversation in terms of, and again, not comparing Dawn and Connor in terms of quality of character, but in terms of where the storytelling did one of them well and then sort of struggled to bring the audience in with the other one. Was the only reason I brought it up, not as a which one's better, which is kind of an irrelevant idea to me.
Yeah, I couldn't answer that. I mean, I would never really compare the two. I think they're both victims of circumstance.
Well, I mean, similar conversation. Shippers. Bangel's the worst, I love Spuffy. Or Spuffy's the worst, I love Bangel. And then all of the reasons that people tend to throw out there for why one's great and one isn't. It's like, once you start making comparisons between the two, again, I think if someone attacks the Bangel romance and you say, okay, well, let's talk about seeing red, or vice versa, where someone attacks the Spuffy relationship and you say, okay, well, let's talk about passion, or a number of other ones. It just kind of gets at, like, I'm interested where our biases exist as fans versus where maybe the storytelling could have been cleaner or better for the characters. Does that make sense?
Yep,
Okay.
absolutely. So I'm I'll leave Connor alone at this point.
All right, good deal.
Going back to real me, I think my final comment will be with Anya. I actually felt bad for her. She getting knocked out the way she did in that episode. It's horrible.
Yeah.
So, well, I think that's what I got for you for real me, bud.
All right, bud. Appreciate it. Last but never least, Jack, my lovely.
Hey, man.
Hi.
How you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
Good. I'm doing good. I'm very well.
Yeah. We're bringing the podcast back tomorrow, right?
We maybe not tomorrow because I got some stuff on. Sorry, but we're gonna do it. We are gonna do it. We got lots of great stuff to talk about. I've been busy. I had a birthday. And we just stuff happened. But yes, coming back.
Well, and we both agreed that we'd rather just miss a week than to put out something that doesn't bring joy and happiness or.
Yeah, but I should have told you before as opposed to in front of the audience that we might not be filming tomorrow. That's something I probably should have said this morning, but I didn't think of it until now.
Hey, I mean, it happens.
Yeah, so, I mean...
By the way, Jack, you had a birthday. Happy birthday.
Thanks,
and
man.
everyone, or I'm going to throw Jesus Jack in the chat. You're finally of legal drinking age, I think. Is that right?
Yeah, several times over. Several times over. I'm old, man. I'm old. Look, I got the grey whiskers coming through. It's
dude.
It's happening. Yeah, but you carry it so well, man. You just look at you.
Not a successful balm. By the way, Melissa says in chat, "Dear God, why would you get on screen with Chucky behind you?" And several birthdays.
He is my son. How dare you speak about him like that? He is a sweet boy.
That's your Connor.
He's no.
We were just talking about sons. That's all.
Well, but I like him. He's a good boy. He's a very good boy.
Wow, that's I don't know if that's commentary on your Chucky doll or Connor, but it's commentary on something.
Let's not open that box.
Fair enough.
But he was a birthday gift, and he's I've wanted a Chucky doll for the longest time, and now I have one, and he's beautiful. Sorry, real me.
All right, well, happy birthday, bud, and yeah, I know
Thanks, man.
It's tough being the caboose. So if you don't have anything, no biggie. But real me, what you got?
So no, I got a bit actually. Firstly, hang on. First and foremost, I want to thank Tom for his hot take regarding Connor and Cordy. Dude,
that is rare.
You are a braver man than I. I disagree, but I know what it's like sharing unpopular Buffyverse opinions. It is rough.
That is
very rough. So thank you.
Yeah, one thing I've said in doing the channel is I discovered every opinion exists where I thought, oh, everyone probably didn't like the first season. And then as I made the videos, people were like, no, I love the first season, or Go Fish is underrated, or what have you. I have to admit, I don't think I've ever heard anyone express that opinion before, Tom, and I'm very happy.
Never. I'm pleased. I'm pleased in a strange way because this
is a group that welcomes differing opinions and civil dialogue about them.
Indeed. But I like the opening with Giles and Buffy. It's very sort of Mr. Miyagi, Karate Kid kind of deal, even though it's just a setup for a joke. But I kind of like that. It makes me like it more.
Yeah,
it's so Dawn can't come in and ruin the whole thing. It's great. I like it. Let's see what else have I got here. So I like Dawn narrating her diary throughout the episode. I think it's an interesting way for us to learn about the character. As the audience, if they didn't do that, it would have taken like several episodes to sort of get to know her. But
yeah, I also
get to know her.
Sorry.
go.
No. I also think it's and I'm not sure if this is here nor there, but it's also the only episode that's narrated in the first person.
Yeah, I think so. From memory, yeah. Yeah, I just think that
Passion. Yeah, there you go.
Oh, right. Yeah, true. Yeah. But I just think it's just a good way because like we know how she feels about the other characters and how she relates to them and whatnot. And I think that information could take several episodes to show us, but they do it with essentially what's like it's basically a monologue. You know, it's not really an exposition dump, but it's like a monologue.
It is an exposition dump, but it feels like it's one that is a little less a Giles explaining the universe thing and more that feels natural in the context.
Exactly, and it's not I wouldn't call it an exposition dump in the traditional way.
Yeah, it's not a traditional kind of like.
Yeah,
there were 4 Infinity Stones or whatever.
Right. I also agree with what Charlie said. Michelle does a great job considering it's her first episode. But I have to say though, when it comes to the Connor versus Dawn thing, I kind of feel like, okay, so I don't say this to sort of diminish or lessen Dawn's plight. It's what she went through was awful.
Sure.
But I mean, Connor grew up in a hell dimension where he literally had to fight for his life every single day. I think that's a little more traumatic. But what I think is right is that the show does a much better job at showing us Dawn's experience, and sort of it does a better job of making us sort of empathize with her.
Wait,
whereas Connor,
you're just gonna hustle past that? You're not gonna let me?
Oh no! By all means, sorry. I'm just talking,
I'm just saying, like she didn't exist. She was made by monks out of magic, and none of her memories are real.
Dude, did you not hear my preface? Did you not hear that at all? Like, I know, I'm not denying that, but like, has she fought a monster? No, because no one will freaking let her fight a freaking monster. And one more thing, like, she is the Slayer's sister. I've said this so many times, but like, the Scoobies were fighting monsters and doing their stuff, and they were only like a year or two older than her. So this whole we need to protect Dawn from seeing shit, like, come on, it's stupid.
Well, I mean, I think that gets into the idea of peers versus family versus protective instincts for kin. I see you guys in chat, by the way. Just give me a minute. But but yeah, I understand. I think that's a necessary observation. Dawn's a year younger than they were when they all started down this track. So, but I think that Buffy eventually comes to, Buffy sort of allowing that realization to set in and to sort of like bypass her protective instincts just takes some time. She does get there. I mean, just sort of rationally and broadly, you're correct. And I also wonder if how Joyce's death affects her sense of family and her sense, her need to protect and preserve.
Because she definitely steps up more into the parental role then. Like a hell of a lot. To be clear, I'm not like, they are both young kids that have been through some really horrible shit. I'm not.
Yeah, it's not a fair comparison, and I did it, so I just thought I'd beat everyone on to it. I just think, again, I think for the purposes of discussion, it brings up interesting questions about the way the story works versus what our personal biases are.
Right. And Charlie, that was no shade at all. Let's see, what else have I got here? And even I know it's a dumb joke, but I feel like he sees me as I am, a woman, and then the chocolate ice cream. It's dumb, but it makes me laugh. Like, but
Wait,
you know,
so
a
wait.
14-year-old girl would not do that.
So we have in this is unprecedented. In this conversation, we have someone. We've been throwing Tom under the bus, by the way. Tom didn't say he liked that turn. He said it didn't bother me. We're not saying Tom loved the Oedipal twist. But we have someone who didn't hate the Oedipal twist in season 4, and someone who didn't mind the chocolate on Dawn's face. Unheard of.
Yeah. I'm under like I'm very critical of Dawn, but I think she's very adorable in this one. I like her. Yeah. Let's see what else we got.
I wonder as how much the fandom's feelings about Dawn change if Empty Places doesn't exist.
That's one where she kicks Buffy out of the house. Yeah, see that doesn't worry me because I think Buffy's being a massive dick. Like it really doesn't bother me. I'm just like get under out, and then we get that beautiful scene, you know, with Spike when I say I love you, it's not because I want you. Beautiful, one of my favorite scenes in all of fiction. So it's all good. Harmony is just hilarious. She's just great. One of my favorite lines in the entire series is "We've met Harmony, you halfwit." It's mean, but it's just so funny.
Yeah,
it's such a great comeback. And also like Xander when he says something like your mom invited them to master it. I mean Dracula. That's a funny one. And I think I mean, I like the whole, like, it's old news for all of us at this point, but the whole Kurds and Way call back to the dream with Faith, it's just cool.
Yeah,
I like it.
And I mean, and from the purposes of our discussion, when we talked about how much of this was planned versus how much was added by the writers afterwards, and my argument is that discussing it as a piece of art now that it's finished, that doesn't really matter. But David Fury says specifically in this episode that he referred to Restless and caught that line and decided to put that into this one as a callback. So again, that was an example of not planned for, but who cares? I still enjoy the callback.
Okay, I didn't know that because my opinion has always been like, if it wasn't planned, they got very lucky. It's like the Willow's "I think I'm kind of gay" line. They just got very, very lucky.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, Whedon didn't write the line knowing that they were going to put that into an episode somewhere in. Is how I interpret what David says in the commentary track.
Right. Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
But again, from the standpoint of the discussion afterwards, I don't think I care.
No, absolutely not, because it's irrelevant. Like you said, it's a completed piece of art. So how it's just like it's judging the individual strokes on a painting. Like, what's the point? Yeah. But that's me done. Yeah.
All right,
cheers, man.
Thanks. We had two. Wait, hold on. Before we say goodbye, you forgot Buffy. Dance of capitalist superiority. Becoming is told in Whistler's point. Oh yeah, Becoming. So there are a couple of episodes. All right, so it's not as unique a thing. And Beach Girl. Dance of capitalist superiority. Oh my god. You guys are the best. Thank you. Beach Girl says for the Flyjack to San Diego fund. I appreciate it. Thank you. Oh yeah, we don't do the. Being 7 or 8 months sober now has made the bad decision stream kind of a bad decision. So we don't do that anymore. I appreciate it. Beach
also, we're also kind of in the middle of an apocalypse, so that kind of slows things down a bit.
Puts a damper on things. Okay, decision stream. I think this is the okay decision stream. So yay, we did it.
Rebrand.
All right, my friends. 2 weeks we're doing Are You Now or Have You Ever? I am working on the Firefly script for safe. I posted a coffee video. I hope those are enjoyable. Just me kind of talking about workflow and where I'm at and stuff like that. Sort of what the podcast was before Sir Jackalus. And yeah, I think that's it. Everyone in the stream, everyone here, thank you so much. We'll see you in 2 weeks.
Thank you, Ian.
Have a good one.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.